Namaste. I, JVM Smritika Chatwal, Assistant Professor in Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, is here to deliver the lecture on pharmaceutical quality assurance, which is the topic of BPharm 6th semester, in which we are going to study the topic quality control, which is in unit third. So now let's start our continuing lecture, which is on test on plastic containers. The first test is leakage test. Now this is for parenteral and non-parenteral preparation. In leakage test, fill 10 containers with water. After that, fit with intended closures and keep them inverted at room temperature for 24 hours. Then, if there will be no signs of leakage from any container, then the container passes the leakage test. If there are signs of leakage, then the leakage test got failed and the container does not pass the quality control test of plastic containers. So we can't use that plastic containers for storing any pharmaceutical drug product. Okay. The second test is collapsibility test. This test applicable to containers which are to be squeezed in order to remove the contents a container by collapsing inward during use yields at least 90% of its nominal content at the required rate of flow at ambient temperature. Now, the third test is clarity of aqueous extract. In this, select unlabeled, unmarked, and non-laminated portions from suitable containers taken at random sufficient to yield a total area of sample required, taking into account the surface area of both sides. Cut these portions into strips, none of which has a total area of more than 20 centimeter per square. Wash the strips free from extraneous matter by shaking them with at least 2 separate portions of distilled water for about 30 seconds in each case. Then drainage of the water done thoroughly. The fourth test is transparency test, in which 5 empty containers are filled to their nominal capacity with diluted suspension as described in IP 1966. The cloudiness of the diluted suspension in each container is detectable when viewed through the container as compared with a container of the same type filled with water. Now, the last test is water vapor permeability test. In this test, 5 containers are filled with nominal value of water and heat seal the bottles with an aluminum foil, polyethylene laminate or other suitable seal. Weigh accurately each container and allow to stand without any overwrap for 14 days at a relative humidity of 60 plus minus 5% and a temperature between 20 and 25 degrees centigrade. Now, to reweigh the containers, after reweighing the containers, the loss in weight in each container is not more than 0.2%. If the container is past this limit, then the water vapor permeability test get passed and the plastic container complies the quality control test. Now, plastic containers for ophthalmic preparation. In this, some tests get changed. Plastic containers for ophthalmic preparation comply with some tests which are leakage test, collapsibility test, and clarity of aqueous extract and non-volatile residue. comply with the test described under plastic containers for non-parental preparation, right? Now, these are the same for plastic containers, and after that, systemic injection test and intracutaneous test that will comply with the test described under plastic container for parenteral preparation. And the third test is eye irritation test. This test is designed to evaluate responses to the installation of extracts of materials under examination in the eye of a rabbit. So this test is new, and this test is not described in parenteral and non-parenteral preparation. Okay. Now, plastic containers for ophthalmic preparation is over. Now, the test on plastic material. Physicochemical test. In this, the following tests are based on the extraction of the plastic material, and it is essential that the designated amount of the plastic be used. Also, the specified surface area must be available for extraction at the required temperature. The appearance, light absorption, pH, non-volatile matter, residue on ignition, heavy metals, buffering capacity, and oxidizable substances. These are some tests which are done for physicochemical tests, and the biological tests include implantation tests. These all tests are from the USP has provided its procedure for evaluating the toxicity of plastic material. Essentially, the test consists three phases, in which implantation test, in which implanting small pieces of plastic material intramuscularly in rabbit are done, and in systemic injection test, injecting eluates using sodium chloride injection with and without alcohol intravenously in mice, and injecting eluates using polyethylene glycol 400 and sesame oil intraperitoneally in mice are done. And in intracutaneous test, injecting all four eluates subcutaneously in rabbit, the reaction from test sample must not be significantly greater than non-reactive control samples. Now, the third is metal containers. The material used for various pharmaceutical drug delivery systems include tin-plated steel, mild steel, stainless steel, tin-free steel, aluminum, and its various alloys. Tin is frequently used in the production of aerosolvents by electroplating it once sheet steel to improve the corrosion resistance and facilitate soldering. In contrast, aluminum is used in its pure form as foil. Often, aluminum foil is used as an impermeable layering, a multi-layer laminate that may include paper and plastic as well. Aluminum foil can be formed into rigid containers, semi-rigid containers, blister constructions, or laminates. Metals have a number of advantages over other packaging materials like glass. Metal is nearly totally impermeable to gas and water. In addition, metal containers are extremely strong and shatterproof. For applications requiring metal ability such as collapsible tube, metal offers relatively easy manufacturing and very easy use. Metals can also be fashioned into more complex delivery systems such as metered dose inhalers, dry powders, inhalers, aerosol administration devices, and even ready-to-use needles. The primary disadvantages of metal relate to their cost and quality control. Metals are inherently more expensive to purchase and to fabricate into a useful container. Metals also are prone to the development of pinhole defects during manufacturing that can drastically compromise their barrier properties, especially in particularly thin sections. Not only can these defects be deleterious to the container, but they can also compromise the quality of the pharmaceutical. Now, paper, paperboard, and cupboard or cardboard. The most common applications of paper, paperboard, and cardboard are in blister lidding stock and in over-the-counter outer packaging, because paper, paperboard, and cardboard offer virtually no moisture or gas barrier. They are typically part of the secondary pharmaceutical container. To provide additional protection, paper can be laminated or coated with a variety of materials. More commonly, when paper is involved in critical packaging functions, it is the only one component of a multi-component system that offers optimal environmental protection to the drug environment. Although paper does not offer high shear strength, its relatively high tensile strength makes it an easy barrier to overcome if one intends to do so, but is an exceedingly confounding one for a child. Paper also simplifies printing on the blister itself. Other uses of paper, paperboard, and cardboard are as secondary packaging or for shipping packaging. Now, what are the quality control of closure? The closure is normally the most vulnerable and critical component of a container as far as stability and incompatibility with the product is concerned. Suitable closing of the container is necessary because it prevents loss of material by spilling or volatilization. It prevents the deterioration of product from the effect of environment such as moisture, oxygen, or carbon dioxide. It avoids contamination of the product from dirt, microorganism, or insects. Types of closures are thread screw cap, lug cap, crown cap, and pilfer proof closures. Materials used for making closures are cork, glass, plastic, metal, and rubber. A closure for a container for an aqueous parenteral preparation or for a sterile powder is packaging component which is in direct contact with the drug. A rubber closure is made of materials obtained by vulcanization, which is cross-linking of elastomers with appropriate additives. The elastomers are produced from natural or synthetic substances by polymerization. Polyaddition or polycondensation, the nature of the principal components and of the various additives such as vulcanizer, accelerators, stabilizing agent, pigments, etc. depends on the properties required for the finished closures. Rubber closures are used in a number of formulations and consequently different closure possesses different properties. The closure chosen for use with a particular preparation should be such that The components of the preparation in contact with the closure are not adsorbed onto the surface of the closure to an extent sufficient to affect the product adversely. Now, what are the tests for closures? The first test is penetrability. This is measured to check the force required to make a hypodermic needle penetrate easily through the closure. It is measured by using the piercing machine. The piercing force must not exceed a stated value. If it exceeds that stated value, the hypodermic needle can be damaged as a result of undesirable hardness of the closure. Now, the second test is fragmentation test. This test is performed on 20 closures. Each closure is penetrated with a hypodermic needle, and this test in the fragmentation test, the test is performed on 20 closures. Each closure is penetrated with the hypodermic needle in a piercing machine 5 times within a limited area, and needle is washed to transfer any fragment present. The contents are filtered through colored paper that contrasts with the rubber and the fragments counted. On an average, there should not be more than 3 fragments per unit. Now, self-sealability test in this applicable to multi-dose containers filled vials. The third test is self-sealability test applicable to multi-dose container. Fill 10 vials with water, close them with prepared closure, and secure with a cap. For each closure, use a new hypodermic needle and pierce 10 times. Each time at different site, immerse the vials upright in methylene glue that is of 0.1% solution and reduce external pressure for 10 minutes. Restore the atmospheric pressure and leave the vials immersed for 30 minutes. Rinse the outside of the vials. None of the vials contain any trace of colored solution. Now, extractive test. In this test, the closure is boiled with water for 4 hours under reflux and the water evaporated to dryness. The residue must not exceed the specified amount. Compatibility test. In this test is performed to check the compatibility of the rubber closure with various types of the substances, since it is necessary to ensure that there is no interaction between the contents of the bottle and the closure. Now, in light absorption test, filter solution A through membrane filter measure the light absorbance or filtration in the range 220 to 360 nanometer using a blank solution prepared in the same manner as solution A. The absorbance is not more than 2, and if the absorbance is not more than 2, then the light absorption test is passed. If there is absorbance which is higher than 2, then light absorption test is failed. Now, the next test is light absorption, in which this is done like same. So these are the tests which are performed for met closures to identify the closure is right or not. So that's it for this lecture. If you have any queries related to this lecture, please let me know, and please find all the important questions which are described in the lecture, and also prepare short notes about this lecture So thank you so much.